Hello everyone, my name is Mick or Mr. Stormcrow, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to live stream on Twitch or on OBS Studios. Let's begin. So one of the very first things that you're going to have to do in order to set up is to, well, have the application and download it. So what you want to do is go on Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. These are your options as of now of 2019. Now I already have it installed here, and I'm going to be showing you. I have it here. And the reason I do is because I'm a streamer myself, which, again, you can check me out on twitch.tv/MrStormcrow, and I already have it installed, but I'm going to be guiding you through everything of how to install it, how to set it up, where to put your destination folders, and all of that. So once you want to choose your, of course, your service or your platform, for example, I'm going to be downloading it, and it'll be right here on obsprojects.com/welcome. This is an open source program. You don't have to pay for it. It's all good. So once this sets up, I have like a couple seconds remaining, but once you have it installed, and it's pretty easy to sort of go through, it's just a whole executive file, and it'll be like this. You'll have to click on administration, everything, but I already have it installed, so unfortunately I cannot show you that part. And to be fair, if you don't know how to do that, you might want to look at a different video for the basics of operations of Windows. So first off, you'll get this. Don't be afraid, it gets kind of wonky, but you'll get it. So what you want to do first though, is you want to go into settings. The setting folder is everything. This is honestly the only thing of information you really have to know. So if you want to get, let's say, a different theme, right? This is Akri, I believe how to pronounce it. You have dark, which is the default, which I use personally. Or of course you have, I think, the light theme, which should be here, right? Yeah, and you have the light theme. So that's sort of a preference choice. That isn't something you have to do, but I would preferably go for dark default because it is less hurtful on your eyes, right? Of course, you have the language options, and you have every general source of information that's on here. Now, this is important. If you're going to stream on Twitch, you gotta get your stream key. Your stream key is going to be in your channel setting on Twitch. If you cannot find that, I'd highly suggest going onto twitch.tv on their help forums, or perhaps just finding a YouTube video for that. Now, this you don't really have to work with. You simply just gotta click the auto recommendations. I mean, you can go on a specific server, but it doesn't really matter, because if it's auto, it's gonna pretty much check everything, and you're gonna get started already on that. Now, you have a lot of options here just in case. If you don't want to stream on Twitch, you want to stream on YouTube, it's the same thing. Just get your stream key or your service provider key and you should be good. You can also make a custom one, which you'll have to actually provide the server URL. And by doing that, you'll get to another site. Now, for this example, I'm going to be going on twitch.tv. So, this is a new option as of, I forget what exact alpha, or not alpha, but exact system type of update. Okay, so this is OBS Studio 24. So that's a big update. So as of OBS update 24, you can actually connect the account. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing the good old stream key. Again, this is just a stream key, but I wanted to let you know that you can also connect your account, which is a bypass to the stream key. Now, let's get on to output. I think this is probably the most important part. So rate control, do not change this. There's been people on YouTube that say, oh, just change it to lossless, it'll be great. Don't. CBR is the best as of right now, and it's probably going to be the only option that I would recommend you to be on, because CBR is kind of, it's hard to explain, but it's the bitrate that's usually accepted by almost every streaming platform, and it's the most compatible, so I would highly suggest going on CBR. Bitrate, though, is going to depend on everyone. Now, one thing you can do, and I'm actually going to sort of get a program here, is my internet speed. If you just type that in, what you will get is a speed test. There's many you can do. There's one by Google, and there's also one by Okia, which I highly suggest. You'll be able to check your results. When you do that, it should give you a good megabytes per second, and when it does, you'll be able to sort of get information on what bitrate you want to choose. Now, a good amount for bitrate is 2500 to around 3400 kilobytes per second. Around there's pretty good. I've seen no loss of quality that much, maybe a little bit, because you're always going to have compression anyways on Twitch, right? Because they limit the bitrate to around, I think, 4800 if I remember correctly. So the key rate or sorry, how should I say this? The I can't even speak today. Damn. The keyframe interval is actually something you don't have to worry about. If you're gonna go on, what was it called? It's not Mixer, but if you're gonna go on Restream.io, you're gonna have to change the keyframe interval. So some service or some actual Restream operating websites will make you have to change the interval because they want to make it compatible with every other, every other channel that you put it on, or every channel that you put there. Sorry, I should be saying that. But for the other stuff, you really don't have to really change anything. Just have it on default, what OBS set it as. You can have it on quality. Performance, I've seen it of course makes the performance a bit better, but at the cost of your quality, right? So I would just recommend putting this in quality. Profile doesn't really have to, you don't have to do much. It's either high or main. High, of course, makes it so it's going to be increasing CPU usage, but I would prefer main because that's just the one that's by default. Now, max B frame, you don't really have to do much, or the GPU. If it's there by default, you are good. Now, let's say you're not going to be streaming, you're going to be recording, right? So what you want to do is you want to change your destination. So I think by default, it will actually have it on some, I think it'll have it on a C drive, right? Or SSD. But I have it HDD, right? Because I want more space. So of course you're going to, let's say, make a folder, right? And then you'll put that right there. Now I already have it set up. I don't really need to do it, but I kind of screwed it up, so whatever. But usually you want to set it up right there. Just whatever destination you want it to be. By, of course, making a folder just to organize stuff. That's what I would do, personally. Now, of course, you have the FFmpeg output type. You don't really have to do much. I mean, if you want to, you can put it to a URL, but, I mean, not a lot of people have servers themselves. So, just put it there. You should be fine. You can actually put it to a URL, but I don't know if you have a URL you can put it in, so just, of course, do the usual file. Container format, just the different types of file formats you can have. My apologies there. I guess I can't talk. It's around midnight here, so my apologies on that. And of course the video bitrate. I put this on the maximum, which is 50,000. And I've been having great performance ever since. Now you want to, of course, have a graphics card that supports the amount that you're really trying to go for the quality, right? And we'll get to there in a second for the quality, but honestly, if you put it at 50,000, I've never really had any problems whatsoever. I'm running a 1060 though, GTX Zotac Mini, so just to let you know, that's what I'm running. So, as for audio bitrate, just 160, that's the usual default. It's good. If you set it to lower, your mic quality is going to sound really bad, and I wouldn't do that. Now, the next part, I did promise you, right, is you want your video. Now, I can't change this because I am recording right now, but your base canvas resolution is the resolution of your monitor or your screen, right? The graphic pixels that you have on screen. So 1920 times 1080 is what I'm recording on. Now, if you're streaming, I would highly suggest going by 1280 times 720 because it's the most compatible in terms of users, right, for display. So you'd want to go for that. And there's not that big of a difference, especially when Twitch only supports that. I think in terms of supporting, I think 1280 times 720 is the best as of 2019. I could be wrong on that, but not only that, you actually do get a better quality than if it wasn't 1920 times 1080. For example, if I'm running 1920 times 1080 and I want it to be in a more compatible file size, if that makes sense, you want it at 1280 times 720 because all that image is being smushed together, right? And when it's being smushed together, it's going to be a bit better. I've seen myself when I'm streaming, when I do it at the default canvas resolution, it's actually not good. So when I make it at a smaller size, my hypothesis here, I could be wrong, is that all the images kind of get squished together to make a better looking quality, right? Because it's getting smaller, and with smaller, the pixels have to go somewhere, right? So that's my theory on why that's going on, and I'm pretty sure that is how it is, because personally for me, I've been having sort of a good quality stream when it's just by having the resolution 1920 times 1080 while the output is 1280 times 720. That's what I do personally. downscale filter, it really doesn't matter. You can really put the downscale filter on any, because that's like what happens when the stream quality goes down a notch. So let's say you're not having a good enough bitrate, it'll go down to 480p, and when it does go to 480p, that's what it kind of looks like, if that makes sense. So downscale filter, personally, I put it at Lanxos. If I could be pronouncing that wrong, but it's the sharpened scaling 32 samples. I go for that usually, and I've had a pretty good experience after all. And of course, you have the FPS value. I recommend 60 FPS, but if you can't, go to 30 FPS or lower. I mean, if you want a really good streaming experience, I would recommend and I would prefer 60 FPS. As of currently, Twitch doesn't support more than 60 FPS, so it really doesn't matter. You don't really have to go more than that, so 60 FPS is usually the safe bet. Now, there are hotkeys, so if you have some macros, you can do it. I wouldn't personally do it. I mean, there's not much I mean, if you have, let's say, I guess if you really want to do hotkeys, you can, right? If you have the Streamlabs box set up, if you know what I'm talking about, where it has the buttons. So I guess this would be the area of where that would be. But I don't have any hotkeys or macros because I don't really need to. I just stop, stream. That's all I have to do, pretty much. Now, you can actually, if you have a really beefy CPU processor, you can actually put this process priority to above or high. Now, I wouldn't do it. I've had pretty much good experience with it on normal, and because I guess because I don't have a 2-computer setup. This, I think, would be the place if you have a 2-computer setup. So let's say you have another computer, you want to put one at high while you have one at normal. I think that would be the reason for it. Or actually, you wouldn't have an OBS on the other computer. What you would do is you have a computer with OBS while the other is just gaming. So I think this is actually where it comes in. But I've had no problems with it on normal. Recommend it. It's great. And I think, again, this is where the 2-computer setup comes in. You want to have one at high while the other, you don't have OBS, right? And you're just gaming on there to have maximum performance. And of course, you have the video format. So if you want to change the color a bit, you can actually change the rendering. But I wouldn't do it personally because there's really no need, right? You can change the color input or the screen color on the streaming output right on the display, and I'll show you in a bit. It's really cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics in terms of streaming. Hopefully I explained well. If you have any feedback, just let me know. But I will get to the part of filters. So if you want to check that out, I'll be doing it in a bit. So right here you have filters. You have, of course, the effect filter, which is green screen, chroma key, and of course you have a crop / pad, luma key, etc., etc. Sharpen. You don't have to really do sharpen, but if you want to, you can. It sometimes has an effect, sometimes, if you want to do that. But you usually do that with like a green screen, right? I've done it before. Ooh, can't even speak right now. But I've done it before, and it actually does work pretty well if you do have a green screen, right? And you're trying to go for a chroma key as well. So of course the chroma key is pretty self-explanatory. You just have it on the color, right? That's all you gotta do. And that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of sources here, right? But that's pretty much it for most of it. If you want to add Streamlabs, right, chat or whatever, or this little thing right here, I'll show you here. You'll have a URL, and then you'll just pretty much just have it right there. So it's pretty cool, and I love streaming, and if you want to get into it, trust me, it looks hard at first, but it gets really easy, and I highly recommend doing so. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys haven't, feel free to subscribe or perhaps follow me on Twitch. I'm live streaming pretty much every day, kind of. I have a schedule there, so if you want to check it out and you want to see when I stream Call of Duty Black Ops or when maybe even Borderlands 3, be sure to check in from time to time. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later.